Hello, what is up everyone? It's Court with JCN Tech, and I am here discussing Nvidia. So recently Nvidia decided to ditch SLI in the 3 and 4-way configurations, and even with their whole enthusiast key thing that they were trying to go for, that didn't actually end up happening because Nvidia ended up scrapping that idea down the line. So Nvidia promised us the 3 and 4-way SLI enthusiast key. So for the hardcore Nvidia nuts, the guys that already went and bought 4 or 3 GTX 1080s, if you bought 3 GTX 1080s, you kind of, there's a little bit of a get around, but if you bought 4 GTX 1080s, you could pretty much just kiss those 2 cards or 1 card goodbye, as I'll explain in a second what you can do with the third card. But you can pretty much kiss that 4th one goodbye in any chance of using it. So right now, as of this moment, Nvidia only supports 2A SLI on 2 of their new cards, the GTX 1080 and the GTX 1070. The GTX 1080 and 1070 both support 2A SLI up with their normal SLI bridge and their high bandwidth SLI bridge. So as of now, if you have 3 or 4 cards, there is no chance of getting all the performance you can out of those cards in gaming, even if you have a high-end CPU like a 6950X or a 5960X. There is no point of having the 3rd and 4th GPU unless you're going to be using it in DX12 games, like what Ashes of the Singularity is, with their multi-GPU support, allowing you to use multiple GPUs even without crossfire. But it is up to the developer to implement this, and for me, I can't see the developer going out of the way to get that extra 2%, the 2% of people who have that many GPUs, and get them their experience with all 4 GPUs. So you can pretty much kiss that option goodbye. Now, as I said before, there is an option if you have 3 cards. So as of now, if you have 3 cards, you can take 2 of the cards, put them in SLI, and run them in SLI for your graphics horsepower, and you can use a 3rd one solely for physics. Yes, that is right. Your 3rd GPU will be used solely for physics and nothing else. It will not be able to put out any. It will not be able to run your games and help with the graphics part of the games. It will be used solely for physics. So, in my point of view, if you're the kind of enthusiast that went out and bought the 4 or 3 GPUs with that promise of the enthusiast key there, you kind of got the short end of the stick, because Nvidia is just like, here, we're going to promise this, and then a few weeks later they decided to scrap it because to them the 2 and 3-way SLI, the 3 and 4-way SLI is just not worth it in their opinion. So with this, a lot of hardcore Nvidia fans kind of got screwed here, because one of those cards right now on the market is about $700 if you're going to be going for a multi-configuration by that with getting the Founders Edition. So that's $1,400 right there of cards that you can't use unless you want to spend $700 on a card used for physics. And even if you don't go for that, for me, I'm assuming that if you have that, you're doing custom water loop, if you're going to have that much graphics power and heat being put out. But I'm assuming you do water. But even if you don't do water and go with something like an EVGA ACX 3.0 cooler or a Zotac Amp Extreme or something like that, and that's still $650. So really, it's not much of a difference. You paid $1,400 if you want 4-way, or an extra $700 if you wanted 3-way, and you can't use that. So that is either a $700 or $1,400 hole in your wallet that you have and can't do anything with because Nvidia promised you a key that you cannot use. So that is quite unfortunate, and I think Nvidia is going to get a little bit of flashback from their enthusiast community over that. And do I think it was the right choice? It was the right choice, but the way they handled it was a bad choice. If they promised the enthusiast key, they should have kept that promise. They should have kept working on that for the guys that go all out hardcore Nvidia fans. Because if I was a hardcore Nvidia fan and I had just gone and picked up 4 GTX 1080s, I would be pretty pissed that Nvidia scrapped the enthusiast key that they promised me in order for me to use $2,800 worth of cards. So I would be pretty pissed about that. So, but if they had never promised the enthusiast key from the beginning, I would have been a lot happier about that. But they did, and that's kind of in the past. So for those few people who were promised the enthusiast key, they're going to be pretty pissed off about that because they wasted quite a bit of money on that. And there's no way they can sell those cards and get as much as they paid for them, even if it's even if it's brand new, still sealed in the box. So that kind of pisses me off a little bit, and respect for those guys. But overall, is it being a good choice for the overall it being a good choice for the general PC gaming community? I think it was a good choice to move away from that, and I think I can see AMD doing something like this in the future if DX12 brings us what it promises, and the multi-GPU support is like in Ashes to the Singularity is there on a lot of games. I think that this could technically be a good thing, but otherwise it's just kind of out in the open water. For the less enthusiast tech community, it is quite a good thing, as in there's not really that option there, so they don't really care. So it doesn't really affect the general community as much as the enthusiast. Again, I keep going back to the enthusiast because the guys who did buy 3 and 4 cards, they're kind of shit out of luck. But yeah, I'm also going to address the issue of no SLI finger on the GTX 1060. So the GTX 1060, they say will perform, they promise it to perform, I don't know, they're claiming that it will perform to the equivalent of the 980. When they released the GTX 1080, they said that the GTX 1080 could beat 2 980s in SLI. Now, for the most part, that is true. For the most part, if the game doesn't scale particularly well, the GTX 1080 will beat out 2 980s. Otherwise, not really so much. So I think what they did here is to prevent consumers from, because this, keep in mind, the reference card is $300 and the board partners card is supposed to be $250 if before price inflation hits, because they're not on the shelves anymore. So I think what they did there is they took out the SLI finger because they don't want people to just go buy 2 GTX 1060s and use that to beat out a GTX 1080 or get close to performance for about $100 to $200 cheaper than the 1080. So I think that for them was more of a money scheme than a SLI reason, but also I can see as if you're only supporting 2A SLI on your flagship card and you're a step below the flagship card, that you wouldn't really support it on something that's more focused on the budget audience, the economical audience, the kids who just have a job, who don't have a job, the high school kids, the college kids who just got out and have student loans. I can see, because that's what I feel that card's more targeted to, and I can see that being the reason they didn't put it on there also, because people of that price point, people that are buying cards at that price point generally don't have the money. So I think overall it was a smart move to do this from Nvidia, but then again I am kind of mad at them because they just threw their hardcore fans and enthusiasts the short stick with canceling the enthusiast key, which they made money off of it, but it wastes the money of the enthusiasts who went and bought it, and they could have lost some diehard fans there. So overall, that's my opinion on the SLI and what's happening with Nvidia right now. So yeah, if you like this video, leave a like. If you dislike this video and hate everything about light, drop a dislike. Let me know down below in the comments what you liked about this video and what tech topics you'd like to see in the future. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Also, one more thing, this is video 2 of my week of videos, and keep in mind these are weekdays only. I will not be posting videos on weekends. Have a good day.